Good morning, everyone. This is Mohamed Shabeeb with Shrinivas Deshpande, who's a member in our winners chapter. He's representing consulting, management consulting. And he has a few questions today, which I will help him answer. And I have a notepad also on my left side, which will help us to list out the questions and take down the main points of what we are discussing today. Hi, Shrinivas. Welcome to this meeting.
Yeah, hi, good morning, Shabeeb. Pleasure to be here.
So what we'll do is we'll first just increase the font size. Okay. So your first question is, what is your first question again? How
Yeah,
can BNI or what is BNI expecting from the members?
yes.
Okay. What is BNI expecting from the members? What would be this pertaining to? Is this with regards to your membership, or are you talking about what happens on the regional side of what we do?
Yeah, more on the larger canvas, like on the regional
The larger
side.
canvas. Okay. The larger canvas. Got it. All right. What's your second question?
Second question is a bit personal, actually, to build my connections over here in Qatar,
Okay.
specifically in the consulting space,
Okay.
urban infrastructure space.
Mm. Okay. So you want
So,
to build your contacts in that space.
yeah,
Okay. So we'll talk about that. So you want to create more contacts in the consulting space, right?
yeah.
Consulting space. Okay. What else do you want to talk about?
Yeah, these are the major two concerns. And as we speak about these 2 points, I might have some sub questions.
All right. So what happens in BNI is we are we basically are the world's largest referral generation organization, of course. However, what most people don't understand is that as much as uh, you know, I would say 95% of our members limit their exposure to the chapter level. The reason why I say limit is because it's not us who's stopping them. It is the members themselves who kind of refrain themselves from the collaborative opportunities that is there. So one of the things I keep telling people is when you become a BNI member, one of our taglines is local business global network. Okay, local business global network. So what exactly this means is, so when I tell you local business global network, what do you think?
Yeah, you can carry out your business at your own location,
Yeah.
but you can get some help from the global network which BNI provides. Basically,
Okay.
cross-chapter one-to-ones, cross-chapter discussions, conclaves, and other things.
So I have another take on this. I look at this another way. Everywhere there is local business. Everywhere around the world, the business is local to that, right? Like it's wholly localized. But there's nothing stopping you from reaching anywhere around the world because of the global network that we have. So now
Okay.
what happens? So think about this. You are a management consultant. You have a business over here. You have customers over here who need your expertise, and you are in one of the industries where it's not about material transfer; it's about knowledge transfer.
Yeah.
Got it. Or upgradation of the current knowledge that is available, or in another, we can call it in many ways. So what you do is you take the information out there, the data out there, you convert it into information, you process the information, make it more valuable for people so that they can take better decisions. If I believe that's the role of a consultant. Okay,
Okay.
what data is taken, information is processed. It's made into information. Information is processed into more valuable information or more prudent information, which will help people take better decisions. No, um, so it's all up here, right? We are thought leaders, or we will say knowledge workers, right? The time that we invest in doing certain things, at the end of that time, we expect more value to be created on what we are working on, and that data that we work on is manifested into the real world for people who take action, decisions based on that,
Yeah.
and becomes more valuable for the people who are engaged. It manifests in the physical world. Now the thing is, when we talk about the physical world, there is a lot of things that happens in terms of the restraints that we have Newton's laws of physics and what they say as the laws of physics. You cannot break the laws of physics. We apply these physical limitations into our thoughts. Okay. I usually ask people, where is your business based? Okay. And what would be your answer as a member here? Yeah, as a person. What would be your answer if I asked you, where's your business based?
Yeah, we have a physical space as of now, but we can get connected through our mobiles, our emails, and other things.
Yeah, I know, but where are you based?
As of now, in Doha, Qatar.
Okay. And where do you do business?
Mostly from the house, my house,
Yeah.
but I have a
So,
dedicated office.
yeah. So, what is happening is when I ask you, where do you do business? I want you to start saying globally.
Okay.
Okay. Where do you do business? I do business globally. Start
Okay.
thinking that way, because when I go to India, when I go to different towns in different countries around the world, people restrict their businesses or their creative process to the boundaries of where they live. For most people, they are not able to think beyond a distance they cannot drive in 2 hours or 3 hours.
Okay.
That's the maximum they'll think as the reach of their business. It makes sense, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Perfectly.
So you need to think beyond it. Like what you said, you have the mobile, you have all this fantastic technology that is available for us right now, Zoom. It's as though we are talking to each other directly. Yes, the physical sense is not there, but we are able to communicate. As people, resilient people in the last few months of this pandemic, what has happened is, one of the words that started coming in the beginning is social distancing. I
Yeah.
really hate the word social distancing. I don't like the word social distancing because we are not socially distanced. We are only physically distant.
Yeah.
Okay, what they're telling you is keep a distance of 1.5 meters from each other, or don't be put so much people inside a room, and they start calling it social distancing.
Yeah.
Why would they call it social distancing? I believe half of the mental trauma that exists because of the pandemic is because of the word social distancing. We should have
Right.
said there's no problem in maintaining social interactions, but maintain physical distances.
Yes.
Correct.
I
That's
agree
the
with you.
switch we need to create. So, during the pandemic, also, at the beginning of the pandemic, what also happened is because of the fact that BNI as a great organization due to the great leadership that we have through Graham, who foresaw a lot of things. Our CEO, he foresaw things happening a certain way when he saw incidents happening in China, and he immediately started activating the team, start taking proactive action. So that when it came to us, lockdown was here, we were prepared with a game plan, and we were able to go online, transition online. So having that kind of a vision was fantastic, working for such leaders, and they are all approachable to you as a BNI member. Okay.
Okay.
So what are the different avenues at which you can start engaging? So as a member in your chapter, the first thing is, there's 4 things I'd say is an opportunity for you to get business. 3 things that happens in your chapter. The first thing is your fellow members, right? You communicate with all your members. You start using your contact sphere, right? So the contact sphere basically means, I've said this in another video also. So contact sphere basically means which industry do you belong to. So as a management consultant, now I know consultants are in different industries also, but which industry do you belong to? Like, uh, you say my profession is a management consultant, I belong to this industry. So which industry do you belong to?
I belong to urban infrastructure.
Urban infrastructure. Fantastic. So you would ideally would like to have more people who are involved in construction activities.
Yeah, actually, it has a wider scope. So we work from the water, wastewater, solid waste management, urban transport. So basically, urban space,
Okay.
not building construction, but apart from that, anything, everything else.
So it's more or less an synergy between the environment and how we develop our living spaces and our workspaces, so that we are in harmony.
Right.
Fantastic. So you are a consultant who works in urban spaces, which would be a part of we could say uh, it would ideally come under, for now in BNI we place you under the business advisory contact sphere, I would say,
Yeah.
somewhere in that place. But you would get great connections because there's a lot of people who are in your same industry.
Yes.
Business consulting, right? They are all into business consulting, where you specialize in urban, somebody else would be in business process consulting, somebody else would be in financial consulting, and all of you guys basically have belong to the same industry as consulting industry. So that's your contact sphere. But the customers come from every sphere of business, right? Like you will have a hospital who's your customer. You'll have a real estate development company who's your customer. You can have a landscaping company who's your customer, right?
Yes.
So, because that's what it is. So, this is one thing that most people kind of miss out. The first thing, that you belong to a chapter where you can work with all the members. The second thing, you can start creating a synergy between people who belong to your contact sphere. Now, you would see gaps in that contact sphere in your chapter. So, you ask the second question, right? How can I create more contacts in the consulting space?
Yeah.
This is where you really need to start inviting people into your chapter to fill that space in your chapter.
Okay.
Because now you would say, okay, Shabeeb, I don't know these people. So this is one thing that I always tell people: when you are having one-to-ones, one-to-ones is not just about referrals where you can close a business. One-to-one is also asking deeper about the other person's network and who he might know as a person who can be invited into your chapter and requested to join in your chapter, because it will help you fill your contacts.
Okay.
Got it. So you have to go a bit more deeper with your fellow members when you're having one-to-ones. Okay. You tell them, I'm an urban consultant and I would love to have a business process consultant. I would like to have a landscape consultant. Okay, maybe you do landscaping because of part, but you would love to have let's say a Vastu consultant, maybe, somebody or an office space consultant who specializes in office spaces, right? You would love to have an architect, maybe. You have an architect already in your chapter with whom you can actually work. So what are the categories of people who, if they come into your chapter, builds your contact sphere and helps you get more business, because all of you belong to the same industry. There's a good chance that if he gets a project, you get a project. There's an add-on. It could be minuscule, maybe 10 hours of work, maybe that you need to give a consulting. The 10 hours is billable.
Yes.
Right? So drops make up the ocean. That's what you have to really understand.
Okay.
Start doing that. So the first thing that we said is work with your chapter. Second thing is work with your contact sphere. Develop it. The third thing is something that we call the power team. Now, power team has a around the world, as such, the HQ has not rolled out a concrete definition. But if you look at the BNI University, what they say is a contact sphere that is big enough becomes a power team, which I totally agree with, because you become more powerful. But we want to, in Qatar, we just want to take it one step ahead for me. Okay. So what we say is the third avenue for you to work in your to create more results is to create power teams that are targeting specific industries for a period of time as a growth plan. So let's say that you have a lot of clients, maybe 6, 7 clients, or even 10 clients from the hospital industry, medical industry, and there are a few other people who also have some good contacts or customers in the medical industry. Okay. So all of you have existing customers. Okay. Now you decide for the next 6 months, you're going to help each other to develop more connections in the medical industry by giving your contacts as well as receiving from the others, gaining from the others. Let's just imagine 5 people who have really good contacts in the medical industry coming together. They start helping each other. You have 5 into 10, 50 customers, of which 10 of them are yours. Maybe there's some overlaps, but then you're getting almost another 25 possible new customers with whom. And many people think that, okay, I need to get 25 referrals this week. It doesn't work that way, right? You can get 25 contacts this week, but the referral process will take you maybe 6 months, because it takes 6 months. Because 6 months is how many weeks? 18 weeks. 6 months is 24 weeks. 24 weeks. So 24 weeks might be required where every week you decide, okay, I'm going to meet this person. I'm not. So as a power team, what you can also do is you can consolidate your contacts list. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
make a central directory. And then as a contact, as a power team, what you do is you decide the five of you will go with the person who knows this client and have a joint meeting in his office in this week.
Okay.
And the next week, another person takes the rest of it. Third week, the next person takes the rest of it. And by the within a period of let's say 30 weeks or 40 weeks, you would have had 40 meetings in
40
the
minutes.
medical industry where the five of you go together and work it out. Now, what is required to do this? Extreme time management skills.
Yeah.
Right? You need to ensure that your calendars meet. You need to maybe create a temporary calendar, an email ID for the whole group, and then create a temporary calendar for where you schedule this so that everyone gets an alert. Share some portfolios or all those things. Creating an email ID for this exercise, have giving access to everyone to those email IDs so the calendars are synced, and doing such techniques where the entire team knows is good. Now, the challenge in such a case would be that not everyone might be available at all times. Doesn't matter. Once it's scheduled, even if there's one person or two people, the worst case scenario is that the person who agreed is the only person who's going, the rest of them couldn't make it. But that's
Yeah.
fine. The person goes ahead and does a meeting where he speaks about it. But the confirmation about the other people joining, once given, should be maintained. Because if there is somebody who's not keeping up his word of turning up for at least more than two meetings, my suggestion is let go of him from the power team because he's too busy solving other problems and he's not in a position to actually use the power teams.
Okay.
You know, power, if you may call it. So I hope this makes sense, right? So three scenarios where you can do this. So this is the three. Then I said about the plus one, right? Plus one. So what's the plus one? Plus one is basically you collaborating with your competitors across the chapters.
Okay.
So the roster sheet is available for you. You just need to go online and just search for Qatar Consulting. You will get the list of people who are there in the other chapters. And you can also actually visit other chapters. BNI policies let you visit other chapters up to 2 times as an observer or a guest, as we call it. In case there is a competitor in that chapter, it's best that you go as an observer. Tell him I wanted to meet you, which is why I came to the chapter meeting.
Yeah.
But I also want to see how your chapters build up so that when we work together, it will be help me speed up things. And I welcome you to my chapter to see as an observer so that we can create synergies over here. And this is beautiful language, right? Suddenly, what's happening is instead of talking about competition, suddenly the collaboration starts happening. So from this plus one, then what happens is once you make this work, then what happens is most people stop at the chapter level. Okay, 90% of people stop at the chapter level. Maybe 5% people go to the contact sphere level, and another 5 goes to a power team. But very, very negligible people go to this plus one place which I spoke about.
Okay.
Okay, very few people. But there's nothing stopping you from communicating. Go ahead. The BNI policies, what it states is that within the chapter, there's no competition allowed. But there's all kinds of synergies allowed outside of the chapter. Okay. Now, once this happens, what happens is we start taking note. As an executive director, I start seeing your name and your photos popping up in a lot of selfies after the meetings. Your name's tagged for a lot of thank you for close business, for inter-chapter business. There's a lot of people talking about you. There's a buzz about you. And then that's when my radar goes up. Oh, okay. There's this guy who's very active and, not just as a chapter level, he's starting to interact with others. He's creating good synergies across the chapter. So that's where you get invited. Okay. We are like, okay, you have started making very good benefit of what is available to you at the chapter level and at a limited space in the region level. You might have served in some leadership roles, or there is an attitude around you which we really see. You are, really. So what Ivan Meissner says is, your light is falling on a lot of people.
Okay.
Got it. So there's a lot of light falling from you onto other people. And when we see that light, we basically tell, okay, we want to make it more brighter. We want to help you make it more brighter. And then we invite you onto the regional team. So the regional team level, what happens is we have different roles. So one of the primary roles is And it's basically based on some psychometric analytics that we do on your do with you. We evaluate you based on some test called the disc analysis, which looks at how are you as a person, which is your dominant traits, and then based on that dominant traits, we give you a question which is aligned with the activities that we do at the regional level. So the different activities that we do at the regional level, one is launch. So we have launch ambassadors who help us, launch ambassadors and directors who help us launch chapters, like what Ayman and Rajesh did. Rajesh was your launch director, right? So Ayman is now going on to his next chapter launch. So we have launch directors. Then we have support directors. Now, support directors are extremely good members who understand the system at their chapter level. But what they do is they come into the regional role as a support director. They wear a director hat. Now, what they're looking at is from the BNI corporate side, so from the other side of the fence, not as a member. They have to start looking at, okay, is the chapter performing? Is the leadership team doing the right things? Is there any need for any exercises to upgrade the performance of the leadership of the chapter, the leadership team? What skill sets are missing? What are the gaps? Which are the areas that we need to improve? And then we start giving guidelines. We start giving advice. We maybe sometimes we also take up some exercises to upgrade the skill sets, upgrade the knowledge, or if there is a lack of cohesion, we kind of create that cohesion for the chapter members. So we work on at that level, and it's not an overnight process. It takes time. Sometimes to get a chapter back on track. Sometimes it takes us months. Sometimes it takes 1.5 years to get a chapter back. So what we call is that every chapter goes through a cycle of Jacobs. Okay, so you see there's a chapter who goes up in a very good hike in activity, business growth and everything. Then they kind of plateau.
Okay.
Once they plateau, what happens is they are in a comfort zone.
Yeah.
They're not growing. Okay. And we need to break that comfort zone. So there's some changes we need to bring. And change management, what happens is the moment you bring that change, there's a dip. Before there's an ascent. So there's a dip in terms of the activity. Maybe a few members might have to leave because when we are challenging the status quo, people get uncomfortable. And they kind of say that this is not what I signed up for, which actually was what they signed up for, but they are now in a comfort zone and they don't want to sign out of it. That's the thing.
Okay.
So you see sometimes the chapter kind of reduces in size, sometimes the activity kind of goes down, but then it hits a valley. It doesn't just perpetually fall down. If it's perpetually falling down, that means the core issues are much more bigger than what we anticipated. There's much more deeper problems than what we anticipated.
Okay.
Sometimes even that happens. Sometimes we had to close chapters because they were not really in the mindset to get back on track.
Okay.
Then what happens is in that dip, again, there's a leveling off, which we call as a valley. And from the valley, then once it starts ascending, it goes into the next cycle of growth. Now, for a great, again, quoting Ivan, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So what Ivan says over here is, so what we are really trying to do is, yes, we have all kinds of strategies in BNI. BNI is very strategic. If you have noticed that, I don't know whether you have noticed that. We have metrics for giving, we have metrics for what you are doing, all kinds of measurements that are, a lot of processes are given, agenda is set. So there's a lot of great strategies in BNI. So Ivan tells this culture eats breakfast for strategy, and I've seen many members use this as an excuse to not follow the strategy that we give at BNI. So they come to us and say, "Hey, why are you bringing all this process and all this steps and things when Ivan is saying we just need to be great attitude, culture people, and then things happen?" I go, yeah, you have heard that what Ivan said, but you've not heard the rest of what he has said.
Okay.
There's a lot of educational things that Ivan said. I mean, there's a whole video of where Ivan explains what culture eats strategy for breakfast means.
Okay.
The first thing that he says is that whenever a company or an organization or group of people comes in, like a team comes in, you can have a great strategy. Like they will have planned everything to the dot, cross all the T's, dot all the I's, everything is perfect, checklist, everything is there. All the strategies are there. Process is driven, everything is there. Like you say something, immediately there's a process. There's a procedure. Everything is mapped, planned, and done. Okay, like there's a whole handbook available. So you could have an organization that has a whole handbook. Okay, and the team goes ahead. But if the culture of the team is not set in the right way, what happens is it becomes tedious.
Okay.
Because one of the things that people really don't understand about success is that journey sometimes becomes very boring. You need to be driven by your passion. So just day first I read a quote by Simon Sinek where he says, uh, if you are doing something you don't like and you are under pressure, it's called stress.
Hmm.
If you're doing something you like and you are under pressure, it's called passion.
Yeah.
Okay. So what culture drives is passion. So an organization that has great strategy but no culture,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a question of when. Okay. Now, again, an organization where the team is very passionate. So you will see a lot of people who come together because of great passion of certain things. Some mostly community organizations, you see that, right? Even in business also, a group of friends who are very passionate about something, they decide to start a startup. They come together, great ideas and everything. They love each other, they trust each other, they like each other. They're like, this is what we are all about. Like, this is our idea, this is our dream project. They do all these things. Zero strategy. They will survive. They will struggle, of course. They might manage to survive, but they will not be able to thrive. Because what happens is they do not have the processes or the strategies to scale up things.
Yeah.
And what scaling up is basically systemizing what works and multiplying it, cloning it, if you may
Right.
say. And you see a great example of that in BNI. What are chapters? We're taking a system that works, we're bringing a team of people together, we're keeping them together, and we're cloning it. That's when we start new chapters, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that's what happens in every business. That's how scaling up happens. You got to find a strategy that works. You got to have a team where the passion is high, the culture is high, but doesn't have a strategy. They will keep going till they have energy.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, they end up being delusional.
Okay.
Okay, that's why you will see a lot of people going to a zombie mode and and then I thought this would be the thing, but now I don't know what I'm going to do with all those things. They go back to work or they kind of try to find other things, right? So I always tell people, you have great passion, but systemize it. If you're not doing that, it doesn't work. So these are lessons which Ivan has taught us. Now, the third situation, okay, the third situation that is this: a company that has great culture and great strategies will perform fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Got it?
Yep.
Because at a point, what happens is it becomes exponential. And I'll be very honest with you. You don't have to go anywhere else except BNI, okay, to know this. Because for the first 30 years of BNI's existence, when I joined as a member 7 years ago, I think we joined at the 29th year or 30th year. We're just entering the 30th year of BNI when I joined 7 years ago. That time when we were launching chapters, the numbers will be given where, okay, there are 6,000 chapters, 6,600 chapters worldwide. And we are doing a business of, no, sorry, I think it was 4,000 something. Okay. I think it was 4,000. I don't remember the chapter number, but I remember the members number. The number of members was 113,000.
Okay.
Okay. So in 30 years, 113,000. 6 years passed. This is 1/5 of the first 30 years.
Yeah.
We are now 280,000 members.
Okay. More than double.
We doubled, more than doubled.
Yep.
And what happened? We had a what we call it as a critical mass of people who understood the system, who understood what it stands for, who understood the culture, who understood the process, the strategies and everything, and it just became exponential, right? So, and you look at any organization, okay, this is the pattern that you will see. This is a pattern that you will see. So when we invite you to a regional office to work, this is what we're looking for. This is the kind of mindset that over here, it's about being very process driven, but with a passion of understanding that the solutions to what you're trying to achieve is available in the system.
Okay.
If you find people stepping out of the framework to create the solution, that's where we'll have a problem. Because that's what we call as reinventing the wheel. Makes sense, right?
Yes,
Because then what happens is you're creating a ripple which kind of cracks the system. So what we usually tell people who are not aligned with the system and with the framework is, what we tell them is, we understand that you have a challenge being in the system. And right now, being in the system might be a problem for you. So instead of rebelling or instead of trying to create friction, why don't you just let go and find peace and see what exactly that you're trying to solve. Once you are solved and you are scaling up your business, come back. You're more than happy to accept it.
Okay.
Got it. So at the director level, that's what we're looking for. What we're looking for is conformity, but also with a passion that drives us towards innovation. So we really have to understand the core value over here. Traditions plus innovation. So what we look for at the director level are people who are really driven with the traditions of what we stand for, how we traditionally have grown, but also with a focus on innovation where we can speed up things. It's not about rocking the foundations, it's about speeding up things so that we are able to do better faster.
Okay.
And then what happens is, once you start launching a lot of chapters, and once you're supporting a lot of chapters, and there's a lot of impact being made through you, the national director takes note. Your name goes on to something called the International Board of Advisors, IBA. Okay, so the IBA is the body that is actually working on the member policies all the time. So it's not Ivan who actually came out with the member policies. It is a group of almost 300 plus members and directors who work on creating member policies and updating it at not frequent intervals, but right now, we're going through an update process and takes it ahead. So if you ask me, how can you become a great, what is BNI expecting from the members? What we expect from you is, first, make the system work for yourself. Make money from it, give and gain also.
Yeah.
And once we see you using that at the different levels that I spoke to you about, 3+1 level, come to us. I mean, we will ask you to come on board, and then you start developing your skill sets and all those things. If you ask me, are there any shortcuts in certain ways at the discretion of the executive director? There are decisions that's allowed to be taken, but yes, provided we take accountability of the aftermath of the decision. We have to be responsible for the decision that we take.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you ask me whether I've taken such decisions, I have. Did I burn my fingers? Yes. Did I get success? Yes. So there's been both situations. But one thing I can tell you is, whenever I stuck to the system, I had more success. Like almost all the time, we were successful. Sometimes it was slow in coming. It was always there. Sometimes slow in coming because there are certain things that you just need to keep to make it go up. So does this answer the question that you are having? Okay, also, one more thing is, as a member, you can always engage with, there are a lot of groups, international groups that's come up now. So, Ayman, who is also a launch director, he is very involved with different global groups. Like there's a global travel agents group that he's running. And he's also part of this GPT, which is Global Power Team, which basically was an international group of people who used to meet online much earlier than the pandemic. So I think they have been in existence for almost close to a decade, if I'm right. I'm not sure. So it's basically power members from different countries. Like, they want to expand their business globally. They created the GPT, and then they kind of induct people. So I also believe the policy is that they allow one person from a category from each country to become a part of that power.
Okay.
So the meeting is usually big because there's a lot of members, around 60, 70 members from around the world. But it's a wonderful place to be if you're looking for cross-power business.
Actually, I'm part of the groups which are on the BNI portal.
Yeah.
Mostly the advisory, architecture, and other things.
But so have a chat with Ayman also. He might be able to invite you to a GPT meeting.
Yeah, thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah, so just speak to him. I also believe there is another new group that has been formed. Now, these are not strictly under BNI purview. So if you ask me for a recommendation, I might not be because I'm not, it doesn't actually come in under the structure of what we are. These are things that extracurricular, it's out of the syllabus, but it's good. It's things that actually adds on to the thing. As long as there is no friction, there is no alignment issues in terms of what we're trying to achieve, and just within, the decisions are taken within a framework and not to challenge the framework, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
So we see that these people are really aligned with the framework and just want to, do certain things which will help them speed up things, so they go for this.
Great, great. Yeah, so thank you very much.
Quite a long time. I spoke for 30 minutes. I didn't notice.
With who?
No, I spoke for, it's 10:16 already. I was like, I spoke for 30 minutes about this subject. It's really, sometimes you just, you think it's very small, but it's very vast. There's a lot of things.
Right.
So many people just ask me, why do you take this decision? There's a lot of things that you have not seen, which I might not see. Right. Yes. So the second question, do you want to go into the second question in a bit more depth, or is there something you want to ask?
No, actually, that is you covered actually the second question.
I didn't cover it, but I want to cover it a bit more deeper if you are okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with it, no problem.
So one of the things about creating more contacts in the consulting space, one thing that Ivan has always been telling, and we have been telling people is that when you're a BNI member, just don't depend on BNI alone. Okay, now what many members make a mistake of is also is that once they become a BNI member, they stop the door knocking activities that they were doing. So what is door knocking activities? Making cold calls. You're not saying to stop. I will not suggest to stop cold calling.
Okay.
Because cold calling, yes, traditionally might have been very ineffective, but if there is a customer who has a need for what you have to give, and you're 100% sure that this customer has a need, there's a project in hand, there's a possibility you can close the sale, do cold call. Don't be stopping you from cold calling. Okay. The only thing what we're saying is it might not give you the result as much as we're expecting. So what I tell people is where you are taking 10 cold calls, reduce to 1 or 2 a week. You got to keep doing that. You can't stop doing that, because coming into BNI, what we tell people is that BNI is about growing your business by meeting new people. So the referral process as such, many people mistake also a fact where they say about this referral process where it's not about buying. Okay, a referral is not every time somebody buys from you. A referral is the first time somebody buys from you.
Okay.
When I'm having somebody meet you for the first time, that's the referral. Okay. So what happens when he buys again from you? At that point of time, you raise a thank you for close business. You would have raised one thank you for close business the first time he bought from you. The second time he also buys from you, you again raise a thank you for close business. But I will not enter it as a referral. Because if I am entering it as a referral, what I'm doing is I'm gaming the system. And now many people also make this mistake of the RGIs, right? The RGIs, what happens is if somebody in your chapter buys every time from you, like 10 times he buys from you, he does 10 referrals. That is also wrong. First time he buys from you, you have referred yourself to him.
Yes.
Correct? You don't repeatedly refer somebody to the same person. Once the person is referred, the relationship is built. That's it. Your job now is to identify. So then people ask me, okay, then Shabeeb, why do we have this two metrics called RGI and RGO? Right?
Yes.
It's a valid question right now, suddenly.
Yeah.
Why RGI? Why are you tracking RGI? Why you could only track RGOs, right? If you are only supposed to buy once. So focus over here is, what we are asking you to do is, we are trying to make sure that you are creating relationships in your chapter by ensuring that you are buying from the people in the chapter. If it is not something you can buy, we wanted to make it clear that you can't buy from them, but you can refer them outside. The first time you buy from them, it's good. So what are the thoughts we are trying to drive with this? What we are trying to drive with this, I need to raise my RGI. For me to raise my RGI, my chapter has to grow in the categories where I can give business.
Yeah. Right.
So now suddenly what happens? The thought changes, right? There's a noble thought behind RGI.
Okay.
Right? I bring more people in the categories that I buy from as suppliers outside, so that the first time I give them business, it's an RGI. I'm establishing a relationship, and every time I buy from them, they thank me for the business.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is the reason for this? This is something that you really have to understand. So sometimes I also have seen where there are three members in a chapter where two of them can do business, but they're totally ignorant of that fact. And the third member comes in, does a one-to-one with both these people, and then he realizes, oh, these guys can do business a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, getting them to meet each other is an RGI. It's a referral given inside the chapter.
Yeah.
Right? Because especially when you're talking about bigger chapters in other parts of the world where they have 120 members, 140 members, some chapters have 200 members. In such cases, RGS become very, very important.
Okay.
Because there's a good chance that two people might not even meet for 2 years.
Yes,
But
yes.
somebody by chance does one-to-one with both these people and then realize, okay, these two can do work with each other. And he connects, and then it's an RGI. It's not an RGO. RGOs. Why RGOs? We are only telling one per, like one the first time, not the second time, not the third time, never after. Like the first time only if you have to enter. So essentially, if you keep entering the same contact as a referral again and again, what you're doing is you're gaming the system and you're killing the growth.
Yeah.
You're actually stagnating the growth. Because
Okay.
those numbers are meant to drive you towards action, to grow your business, not to stagnate your business. So let's say that I give you a referral where there is at least 3 purchase orders coming to you every month, and each time you get a purchase order, I enter as a referral. Did I not meet my quota for referrals to become a green member?
Yeah.
So now what happens to me? Will I do anything because there's nothing driving me to actually achieve the right numbers?
Yeah.
I've gamed the system. I've stagnated, plateaued. That's a dead.
Yeah, the flatten of the curve will happen.
Not just flattened and pulled on the curve. You're tying a weight to the end of the curve and pulling it down. Because just imagine the whole chapter does is what happens.
Yeah,
You will not look forward to the meetings. Coming to the meetings will not make sense. Because everybody is a green member now. What are we working towards?
Right.
I have literally gamed the system.
Okay.
So what you have to do is, so this is where we ask you to be mature professional business people. We want you to regulate yourself. Don't the business from the same person as a referral again. Okay. What you have to do is basically try finding a new person as a referral for somebody else in the chapter. I keep using the example of family growth. So you as a bachelor, you are a family where there's only one member, right?
Yeah.
So when you become fatter, will your family grow?
Yes, certainly.
Fatter, the mass is growing, right? But is that your family growing?
No.
Becoming fatter? No, right? So you have to get married. Another entity has to come in.
Yeah.
Right? Now you and your wife, you guys keep eating and you become fatter. Is that your family growing? No, right? You need to procreate. You need to have a offspring, right? And then having an offspring, does the three of you growing taller or fatter makes the family grow? No. Again, you're stagnant, right? What you have to do is you have to again procreate, and then these kids grow up, they get married. That's how the family gets grown. So there's a new entity coming into the family. That's when the family grows.
Yes.
The same thing with your business reference.
Okay.
A referral given to you is that entity coming into the family. Getting more business is that person becoming taller or fatter. Okay, but you are going to enter that becoming each kilo added on as a referral. Your family doesn't grow.
Right.
Got it?
Yep.
So what happens? You need to bring another referral for the family. So that's what this is all about.
Okay.
Got it. So this is one very specific point. So what happens now is, if you really want to grow the contacts in the consulting space, the first thing is take the list of members in the chapter, do one-to-ones, and ask them to refer visitors to the chapter who are from maybe your same industry, which is also good because you get more collaborations. People coming into your chapter who can't join your chapter because you are there in the chair, they see a lot of credibility in you.
Okay.
You know what? I will actually encourage more people from my same industry coming into the chapters. There are many things that happens at that level. You know, the first thing, I get to know who knows who.
Yeah.
Okay. So how many of the members in the chapter are working with my competitors or has close relationship with competitors? Now, if there is somebody who says, I can bring 5 consultants to you, that means there is a reason that he knows 5 consultants.
Yeah.
Got it. And I need to work with this guy more as what we told earlier, you know, contacts where all the poverty. What is it that he's doing? Why is he having that relation with 5 consultants?
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunity there, right? And second thing is when all these people come into the chapter and then they are invited by somebody else, they see me who is committed to meeting these people every week, like my chapter members every week, and I'm helping them to grow their business, and they're helping to grow their business with me. What happens is instead of them asking for referrals from the guy who's there in the chapter, they'll come to me.
Okay.
So you understood this, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
you bring a visitor who's a competitor to me. The first thing that the visitor understands is, okay, my relationship with this guy can only be more social now. As a professional relationship, there's somebody who's committed to him and he's committed to somebody. Kind of stop this person from asking for more business.
Right.
Okay, and the second thing that happens is this competitor who comes in, he sees me and he finds me very credible because there's a lot of people who I'm working with and people who are saying good things about me. If I'm an active member in the chapter, of course, there's a big if. Okay. And then what happens is he sees me as credible and then he will come to me for guidance and there's a good chance that we can actually work with each other in a collab.
Right.
So you remember the +1 I said earlier, right? There's an extension of that +1. Okay. So doing proper one-to-ones and getting your fellow members to give you a list of the management consultants that they know and having them come as a visitor to the chapter is a great way. And it helps BNI also to grow because if they can't join each chapter and they are interested in becoming a BNI member, they can join other chapters. And it drives up the collaborative effect for you.
Okay.
This is what we call as an abundance mindset.
Okay.
Understanding the cake is so big that you can't eat it alone. You might as well as have a group attacking the cake together.
Okay.
Okay, so if you can, the group can take the cake, bigger piece of the cake. You've seen how it happens in parties. Right?
Yeah. Right.
You can take the big piece on your like every piece. So 4 or 5 of you go and attack the cake and take the bigger piece on your plate, and you are able to share. Right. That's what happens now. Now the other thing is, so that's the first thing. So it's not just about. So what we say is use your BNI network probably, but it's not just about using the skills you learn in BNI itself. What I will also say is, you have to be part of a community organization as well as a professional organization other than BNI. So community can be religious or based on your ethnicity.
Okay.
Okay. Start doing more interactions with your community within your religious circle or within your ethnic circle and developing more relationships. So over there, what you have to do is, so what BNI tells you, stop telling what you do, speak about who you help. And make an ask there also. You know, there's no problem saying, I'm trying to grow my business and I'm trying to get a referral to this person. Does anyone of you know this person? Casual ask, and sometimes it might actually turn out to be a next $1 million deal.
Yes, right.
Makes sense, right? It's not offensive. You're just asking for help. But if you're trying to boast, saying this is what I do, that is what I do, this is all things. If you guys need anything from me, let me know. That's boasting. It turns people off from you.
Yeah.
But just keeping a very simple thing that I have a business, I'm managing principal. Trying to grow my business in Qatar right now, and this is I'm actually trying to get in touch with this customer, and I would love it if any of you can get this person. And suddenly your community, starts helping you.
Yeah.
Religious or ethnic or whatever it is, right? And then the next thing is regarding your professional circle. Now, when you go into a professional circle, of course, there's a lot of competition that happens over there because we know that when you go into a professional circle, what most people say is, this is bad. How are you surviving? That's the way they talk, right? The market is so bad, payments are. But then you know for a fact that there are good customers also out there, and you will see some outstanding people in that group who are doing very well. You know, they're wearing good clothes, driving good cars, they're staying in great places, and you know that they're doing well for themselves.
Mhm.
You need to network with them. The same techniques that we speak about in BNI, you have to use to develop your network with the kind of people who are really successful in your professional skills.
Yeah,
An extension of the plus one I spoke about.
certainly.
Got it.
Yep.
So you can also ask for referrals to be put in touch with these people because
Okay.
they are also having a lot of connections outside of this professional realm. You can even ask your BNI members to say that, you know, there's a company that I'd like to get introduced to who is in the same space as me. I want to meet the managing director of this company,
Okay.
which opens doors for you.
Yes.
Because there is always work which they might not do, but which is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And that's good. You know, it's great to have those references coming. They could always say, you know, there are companies that can't take more work many a time
Okay.
because they are really busy. They have a lot of customers. They can't really take on more clients. At that point of time, if they think about somebody, it's best that be you. So they can say, you know, you really love to do this work. Right now, our hands are tied. We're completely busy with our existing clients. Either you
Yeah.
have to wait, but if there's a really urgent to you, there's a great guy I know who's named Shrinivas Deshpande, runs a company called 5D Advisory. I can guide you to him.
Okay. Yeah. You got it.
Got to get that question up
Yes.
and running.
Right. Right. Right.
I will share one video link also with you.
Okay.
Go to our YouTube channel. There's something called Building Opportunity Through Social Capital. I would advise you watch that. I would have loved to do that personally as an exercise with you, but just watch that also. It's a 30-minute video. It can help you with a lot of things.
Okay.
So my question to you is, did we cover the areas that you were looking for guidance into?
Yes, actually, it was certainly helpful as we started with the development of yourself through your chapter, then how to build the power teams, contact peers, and many more things. Certainly, and after that, why the process and culture of BNI is important to grow your business in your local market as well as the global market which you are trying to pursue. That are the certainly things. And as you mentioned, I need to meet some more people who are practicing BNI as their day-to-day habit or their day-to-day life. So I will certainly look into that. And then, as you said, this RGI, TYBFC, why the important and the plus one factor, which you mentioned in, and certainly the learning point will be the abundant mindset of the companies and how you can tap that. And then other organizations which can be helpful to grow the business and how we can align it with the BNI way, which we are practicing as of now. So thank you, Shabeeb. Thank you
No problem.
for.
So before we close, you cannot change, you cannot create a change in all these things overnight. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'll tell you is, pick up a strategy in terms of prioritizing what is important for you and whatever we discussed right now. List it out. Create
Yeah.
a plan, you know, a time-based plan, and then at a minimum level, see what is the 1% you can change in each of these things that you're doing, so that you know. So what we say is, you know, in coaching, what we say is that if you multiply by one, how much do you get? One
Yeah,
into
it's
one, how much?
mathematically it's one.
It's one, right? It is one. There's no doubt about it. One into one is one. But you multiply 1.1 by 1.01, you get 1.01.
Yeah.
Then you multiply 1.01 with another 1.01, where you're adding 1%, 1%, 1%. You know, you do that 365 times, it becomes 37.7,
Yeah.
which means it becomes 37 times bigger than where it was.
There it goes. Right.
So create the strategy of what is that 1% improvement you're going to do and where are you going to do it, and track it and make sure that you're doing it in the right way. So eventually you will reach a point where you are much, much, much better than who you were
Sure.
of your actual acumen, skill set, expertise, whatever you can call it. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the like what they call the science behind it. The theory part behind it. The practical will take time, take you
Sure.
multiple iterations of learning, experimentation, and all this. But be driven by the passion. You know, enjoy the journey. It might get boring at times, but look at what you do.
Right.
Very exciting. Work towards it.
Sure.
All the best, and thank you. And as I
And,
said, I'll be sharing
uh,
this on, if you don't mind. You know,
sure.
this is something that every BNI member has to do.
Right. Can we stop the recording now? Actually, I want to have some personal discussion.